We discovered in our previous lesson that since we receive a copy of our parents' DNA, we inherit our qualities from them. Also, we discovered that the characteristics that set us apart from other species are brought about by proteins. We also discovered that mutation, which results in a change in the genetic structure, is what creates variation. Our discussion in today's session will be based on what we discovered last week. This is Mamla Army, your science teacher, and today we'll talk about the evidences of evolution. Have you ever wondered how life on Earth came to be so diverse? The answer lies in evolution. Evolution is the process by which living organisms change over time, typically through the gradual accumulation of genetic changes from generation to generation. Scientists use many different lines of evidence to understand evolution. Let's explore some of them. The first piece of evidence is the fossil record. Fossils are like ancient time capsules that tell us about creatures that lived long ago. We can see how they look, what they ate, and how they moved. For example, we can learn about first predators like the T-Rex and see how they evolved into different animals over time. These organisms constantly captivate us, but how did we discover that they existed? Their fossils were discovered, and a fossil is a preserved remnant or trace. The most prevalent fossils are in pins made on sedimentary rocks, which are made of layers of minerals and shards deposited over extensive time periods. The placement of a fossil under its sediments reveals the fossil's relative position in time. Embryological development is another line of evidence. This means studying how animals develop from a fertilized egg into a fully formed individual. Scientists have found that many animals go through similar stages of development, even if they end up looking very different as adults. Scientists use embryos to compare the organisms to another because the resemblance between embryos or in the early stages of development suggests that similar genes are at action. Many species have similarities throughout the early stages of development, but they diverge dramatically as they mature. Another line of evidence is comparative anatomy. Scientists study the bones and structures of different animals to see how they are similar or different. Some animals have similar structures, like arms and wings, even though they have served different purposes. This tells us that they might have evolved from a common ancestor. Two fundamental notions or ideas are presented by comparative anatomy: homologous structures and analogous structures. Homologous structures refer to similarities between the body structures of different species, but they do not necessarily have the same functions. For instance, the forelimbs of a cat and a human both have different purposes, although they share a similar skeleton structure. These similarities may have been caused by their common ancestry. Analogous structures have different body structures but of the same function. An example are bird wings, bat wings, insects' wings have the same function, but these are not evidence that they came from a common ancestor. The similarity only reflects their similar needs brought about by their environment. Another example is the fin of a shark, the wing of a penguin, and the flipper of a dolphin. These have different bone structures but all are for swimming. Finally, DNA sequence is another tool we use to study evolution. Scientists compare the DNA of different animals to see how closely related they are. The more similar their DNA is, the more closely they're related to one another. It's like looking at a family tree, but for animals. DNA replication is a process that ensures that a cell retains its original copy of DNA when it divides. However, not all processes are flawless, and occasionally, external factors can also cause DNA sequences to be altered, which result in mutation. Mutation is unquestionably the beginning of the evolution process because when a DNA sequence is altered or changed, this will code for a different amino acids, which will result in a different kind of proteins. As of now, the occurrence of the several SARS-CoV-2 virus strains that induce COVID-19 is a relatively common example of this phenomenon. Viral mutation is a natural process that causes changes in viruses throughout time. Because of this, when a virus infects a host cell, new variations are created. A new virus can only be created by copying genetic material. The only way to prevent mutation is to halt the replication of the virus, which can be done by immunizing or vaccinating everyone to the health and denying the virus-free strain to stop this evolution. All of these lines of evidence help us understand how life on Earth has changed over millions of years. Evolution is an amazing process that continues to shape the world we live in today. And that's the end of our lesson for today. Thank you for listening and for joining me on this journey through evolution. Keep exploring the wonders of science.